Welcome. Howdy. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing good. If you're watching us now, joining us on the live stream, or watching later. Just want to give everybody a couple of updates on the live stream here. Change this quick. And we just uploaded another video. It's just a quick play lesson that I did on the live stream a couple weeks ago. I've just kind of edited it down a little bit, mixed it, and it's just a quick tutorial on 49 Mercury Blues. I didn't put any tab in there. I did put a couple of chord diagrams so you can see some of the spots, exactly what I'm playing, because it's hard to tell sometimes when you're looking the camera at this angle. You can sort of see it, but not exactly. So I put that stuff up there, but I don't have the tablature for the individual solo lines and that sort of stuff. But if you guys do see the video or see this later, and you want me to do a more in-depth version of that song, I can do it. I can do it down the line for sure. Otherwise, we've got I've been busy recording a bunch of videos, so then I'm in the process of editing them so I can release them consistently, as opposed to having so much time in between videos, which definitely is something I don't want to get in the habit of. So I'm trying to, revitalize the upload rate at which these videos come out. So the next one after this is going to be either a kind of a gear review sort of on the acoustic rancher Gretsch, or pipeline. I tried to do a quick play. I'm calling them quick play lessons for the for the 49 Mercury Blues that I did. So there's no tab, there's no history of the song or any extra flair to the video. It's just me talking, just like I'm recorded from the live stream, and then chopped up to get the form of the song. I tried to do that with Pipeline a couple weeks ago, and unfortunately the video quality and audio quality did not come through very well, so I unfortunately can't salvage that. But yeah, when I have the second angle, which is cool in theory, but unfortunately the camera is wireless, and it's fine for this and for a live stream, but to try to get it and record it, and when I go to grab the footage, it's very jittery, so it doesn't work, and I have no separation between my speaking and the guitar itself, so I can't. Everything kind of mushed together. It just wasn't great. Anyway, so just a quick one today, unless anybody has any questions or joins in a little bit. Yeah, last week was a holiday week, so I tried to have some, get some time to do it on Saturday, but last week just ended up getting away from me. And I didn't want to let another week go by, so here we are. And I'm going to go over just a couple of little Bigsby tricks. Nothing crazy, but when you think of tremolo, or tremolo bars, or whatever, the Bigsby is a little different than, say, a Strat or a Floyd Rose or something, where you're doing dive bombs and that sort of stuff. It's more of a waver, right? And so these Bigsbys are there to kind of emulate lap steel guitars and that sort of stuff. So the sound of the slide going up to a note, or coming down on a note, I suppose. And the waver, when you move a slide if you've ever played even a slide on a guitar, and you just kind of wavering it back and forth, kind of gives you that sound with the Bigsby. So going up towards a note, especially when you want to do the country type bends, it's really great for the ending of a song, for example. So, right, you have like right, you have like you want to do like a little country bend ending to it. So what you do with the Bigsby is you can do a little, almost in the same way you do a pre-bend. You come down like that. You kind of pre-bend the Bigsby down. And it gives a little bit more for all of the notes. It sort of emulates that sound of the slide coming up. I'm going to overdo it there so you can see it, hear it. And especially up here, like on the higher end strings, right? I'm doing A up there. So that's one thing you can do. And being aware of your open strings as well. So if you have a little riff, like you can don't forget the low end string, the E string. You can go down like any kind of country riff or any rockabilly riff you're trying to do, right? That's a pretty common thing, but sometimes if you the E in the key of E, obviously that's the lowest note you can hit. But when you got the Bigsby, you can kind of go down one more string, right? And I'm trying to think here. Yeah, you can go down, one more note. I mean, you can dive bomb all the way down to a low D, but you got to be somewhat careful. If the guitar is set up properly, it shouldn't happen, but sometimes it can cause the strings to pop out, go way out of tune. If the nut and the saddle isn't set up properly, you bend too much, it can throw. Especially the D and the G strings are the ones that tend to go sharp when you use the Bigsby. So you want to make sure that everything's properly set up before you go too crazy with it. So you have these two country bends up here. We'll go back to that for a second. There's this one. If we're sticking with the key, sticking with A, right? Got that. And then you have this. So it's bending up to, this one down here is bending up to like a bar chord form. You got the top two strings, and then you're bending up to the third. Same thing up here. You're bending the third, up to the third, from the B to the C sharp. So from the 2 to the 3. And it's going up to this chord form, what everybody learns is like the B, the second bar chord. I like to think of it. It's like we think of the F as like our first bar chord that we learn, and then the B flat or B or whatever, that's our second bar chord, right? These two basic shapes, which most of the guitar bar chords are kind of based around. So when you appear, you just want to think of, go down 2 frets from your top string, and then you just bend those two together. So you just put your little finger on the top string and then use your ring finger and bend up. Right? And you do that pre-bend with the Bigsby. Gives it just a little bit more of a waiver there. Same thing down here. Another thing you can do, and this doesn't really involve the Bigsby, is that you can bend up the third on the bar chord form and come back down. This is just a pre-bend, which works great for an ending as well, right? You can go back and forth. Or you can just hit just a little bit of a waver there. And that's a little riff you can throw in just in a song when you're playing. Just adds a little bit more. It's more country, I guess, than rockabilly, but again, this is what these Gretches were really designed for, right? Was country music. So that's when they were coming out. And I was doing some research for the Rancher, kind of the history of that, or where that came from too. So the first one would have been, obviously, the first guitars that Gretsch made were acoustics. They all were. They didn't have electronics in the early days, but their first guitars were the what they called the Jim Dandy. I think that's what they were called. Tiny little things, almost look like ukuleles, right? And you can still get them. You can still buy them. But they didn't come out with the Jumbo Rancher until the 50s. And that one, it was just designed for aesthetically more for country players and that sort of thing. Essentially, they weren't any different than anything else, other than the triangle beveled sound hole. But they don't make the way the old Ranchers anymore. I think the model is the 6020 G6022 is the original Gretsch Rancher. They don't make that anymore. Now they just have these lines of Rancher guitars. It's similar, very similar, and they have pickup systems in them and everything else, and much cheaper than they used to be. So I really like the sound of it. I did a nice little recording with a couple of different microphones, recorded it through an amplifier, like an acoustic amplifier, well, so it can give you that idea of what it sounds like. Because a lot of these um, Gretsch guitars, they're not available in stores, at least not that I've seen. If you have a Guitar Center around you, you probably won't see one. But if you have maybe an independent music store might have one. I know I've seen a couple in some smaller independent stores, but generally, um, most of the higher end, most Guitar Center is really the only big store around now. Sam Ash is gone, and Thoroughbred long gone. So you just don't really see the high end, even the electric Gretches anymore. Maybe one or two, but so anyway. What's going on here? Let's see. For now, I just wanted to kind of show you some of those Bigsby things, and got that new video that just came out. I'm trying to get back to editing the rest of them, so I'm doing a bunch of videos at once, recording all of the what I need to, and then sit down and edit all of them together, so then I have them ready to go for consistent release. Try to get one out. I don't know how often they're going to be able to come out right now, because I've been so busy with my normal stuff, my normal day job work, so I haven't been able to get to it as much as I would like. And the band itself, as far as that goes, we just haven't had that many gigs. April's pretty slow. I don't have any shows this month. Next month it starts to pick up a little bit, and try to do a couple of live streams for some of those shows. Maybe not the whole show, because the next two shows we've got are just showcase type gigs, so that's not really a full 3-hour show. It's just we're just playing a set or a set and a half or something like that. Um, hmm. So, of course, you can do all other sorts of Bigsby tricks. You can play, if you play off of a 9 chord, it doesn't matter which one. You can play this. It's more of an effect, really. It's just kind of, again, bend it down and then strike, pull up. So you can kind of slowly build up the chord. It's more of an effect, but you can use it in a as part of a solo, and you try to do it, relatively in time with what's going on in the song. Um, Also, don't you can use it for individual notes too. You don't just necessarily have to use it for chords like that. So I play this little solo on instrumental of putting on the Ritz that we do live. So I'm hitting this D note here. Everybody's heard that type of riff, right? And when it's a sharp, not sharp, it's a flat 9 over the C chord that's happening in the chord. So it's going F minor. There's the flat 9. And that's the progression of the verse. So when I go up to the D, you can use the Bigsby right there. And those are just little things you can do. I mean, definitely with the country stuff, doing the not really a pre-bend, but a pre-dive, I guess you would say. And it does sound better, at least I think, when you're playing up in the higher register. If you're playing down here, you can't really hear it. But when you're playing up here, it pops out a little bit more. And some of these things, when you're playing with a full band and the drums and the bass, everything's going, those little nuances can kind of go out the window and get lost. But don't get discouraged. Just I try to do it anyway and try to focus on those things because it makes me happy, whether anybody else realizes it or not. um, all right. So I don't really have any lessons or anything today that I can think of right off the top of my head. Let's see. Maybe I could find something on my master set list that I've played before. I know people have requested like Rock This Town as a full, but I want to do a full video on that, not just here. Let's see. Huh. There it is. All right. Hmm. Maybe I did videos on those actually. I don't know if I've done this one or not. Um, there's a Buddy Holly tune called Blue Days Black Nights, and people request Buddy Holly all the time. But instead of doing That'll Be the Day or Peggy Sue or something like that, I always like to go for the B sides or the lesser known of the songs. Um, just because I don't know, it's just cooler to me. But playing not original, but playing A side covers is great, but it doesn't give you any more reward to play the more popular tunes than it does to play the B sides. It's not like it's going to benefit you in any way. So if you like it, great. But for me, it's just I've heard the songs, over and over and over again. So to play something like That'll Be the Day, when I can play something like Blue Days, Black Nights, that's more interesting to me, and there's not any benefit to playing the A side, I'm gonna do the B side. If somebody requests something, that's fine. Throw some, throw some money in the tip jar and I'll do it. But if I know it, I'll I try to accommodate as much as I possibly can. But you know, can't know everything, and we try to avoid. At least most bands probably do try to avoid like the standard rockabilly tunes that everybody plays, and you don't really want to be that band that plays the same stuff like 20 Flight Rock, um, well, the Rock This Town, Stray Cat Strut, all the standards get overplayed. And every once in a while, when we're feeling it, we'll bring a popular tune out like that. So anyway, Blue Days, Black Nights. It's a lot of finger picking type stuff, at least the way I'm playing it. So I have no idea how the original was played. So I just have this same style, like kind of the Setzer style, where you tuck the pick up in your index finger and walk up to the A. And that A I play open. So that's the basic riff. So it's A, E, A again, or F sharp minor, 7, to the 4, the D, back down, right? So it's 1, 5, 6, 4, back to 6, back to 5, back to 1. That's the chord progression. And with that one, you're instead of hitting the A on the 5th string and playing a bar chord form, you're just playing the partial bar chord, and your thumb is hitting the open A. So in that intro, it jumps right back down to the 1. Before the verse part, it goes all the way up and back down, back and forth, until we get to the bridge. Then we hit an A7. We go to a D9. Right there, I kind of like to throw in this. That's the bridge. 4, 1, 4, quick 5, back to the 1. And that's the whole song. And I'm just kind of approximating the finger picking there. I believe the Crickets had two, Buddy Holly and the Crickets had 2 guitars. So one would be playing the finger picking stuff, and the other would be playing the rhythm. So as one guitar, which I have a new video coming up as well about how to play songs with one guitar. How to play songs with one guitar, as opposed to if a song has 2 guitars, and what you do to break it down so you can play it. It's actually the pipeline, because that's a pretty famous instrumental that has 2 guitars riff. You got the right, and then it goes. So anyway, I'll go into that in the video and how to kind of break that down and approximate both guitars on one. So for Blue Days, Black Nights, the when you go into the solo part, it does these. I don't really know exactly what you would call these things. It's just kind of one of those, you know. Everybody's played something like that, right? Or at least heard it. You can bar it too. Not the first one. Well, you can, but so you're playing thirds, right? You're playing the root third, and it follows the melody, sort of. Well, the chord structure, at least. And we're up to the D. Unison. unison with an open droning E down to the low A. Do one of those again, and then it repeats. It does it again. Then when we go to the 4, what I guess is here is he's playing just a D, but he's adding the 9 on the top, so it's kind of an add 9. It's not really sound like a 7th, it's more of just an add 9. Back to the 4. So that's playing over the bridge. So you do the verse, verse, bridge, and then back to a verse. And that quick little 5 there, so droning on the E on the 5th string, open A, open E on the top string. And then it's a walk up, a pickup from F sharp That's it. That's the whole riff right there. So this stuff's pretty standard. I mean, just by listening to it, you can probably figure out what's going on. And it's really that bridge that it's always the bridge, right? And that little pickup. So it's not always playing the strings together at the same time. It's going thumb, whatever, third finger, second finger, whatever you're more comfortable with. I tend to use the third finger. It really depends, because I'm used to, have gotten used to playing with a thumb pick on a lot of tunes. And when you do that, you learn to kind of separate your hand a little bit. And I got a thumb pick right here, actually. I'll show you. When you play with a thumb pick, usually you're just the bottom 3 strings, the E, A, and the D, are played with the thumb, and the top, the G, B, and the E, are played with your index, your first finger, second finger, third finger. So you really don't use your little finger unless it's a special case or whatever, at least for standard thumb picking type songs. And even when you tuck your pick up, again, the downside with doing this or picking with your pick and then kind of using your second and third finger to play some top strings is that you lose the function of your index finger, right? So you have to kind of make up for that. So I end up using my third finger for both the B and the E strings, and then the middle finger for the G string. But again, it's whatever is more comfortable. So I'll and there's a couple there where it goes backwards, right? So it's a third finger thumb. So when it's going down, it's usually, you just kind of listen to it and see which way it works better, what the recording is playing. And you just kind of get used to bouncing back and forth between those. Whatever you want to do. That's all in the finger picking, is just getting used to playing together and then back and forth, whether it's thumb, fingers, fingers, thumb, and together, right? So those are a couple of practice techniques to just keep in mind. I've personally, they always say, oh, you just got to get your thumb going, and once you get the thumb going, it's like riding a bike or whatever. You just keep it. That never really worked for me. What worked for me was trying to play them together, like figuring out, okay, the thumb has to hit first and then the note. And so it's kind of, they're upbeats, right? And even though I know all of the thumb beats are going to be on the down beats, it's the 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? It's where the kick drum would play, right? And the bass too. At least in this kind of tempo. And the top strings can be on downbeats or they can be on upbeats, right? So the Travis style picking, for example, instead of thinking of it as your thumb and then your fingers, I think of it as one whole riff together. So it's... And that's, if you're not used to finger picking at all, that's a great place to start. Whether you use, if you want to tuck your pickup like this. I'm not thinking of it as separate thumb and fingers. I'm just thinking of it as one whole. The first note is together, and everything else is bouncing back and forth. And that's, everybody starts there, or at least you probably should. That's the easiest one to get. And once you get that, then you can get into the rockabilly type stuff. Even though the rockabilly is only hitting one note, or sort of, it's hitting one note, but it's also hitting the fifth too. Sometimes it's just, it's meant to be sloppy. It's not meant to be perfect. It's just kind of, it's palm muted, and it's not meant to be a perfect type of finger picking. It's just meant to kind of get the notes ringing in the chord that are there. The root, the third, the root, the fifth, whatever you're picking over. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to do a video on this, but I'll talk about it anyway. So I'll have tab and everything, is rhythm playing. So rhythm playing, when you're playing, most people use, you learn your open chords, which is great and everything, and then you learn your bar chords and all of that. But sometimes you want to add a little bit more to the song, especially something that is swinging, right? So if you have a song, there's a song called I Hear You Talking by Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys, right? So this song, originally it's in B flat, but I'll play it in C, just because it has the because you can play open chords like this. Obviously, you could put a capo on or whatever, but for this purpose, so it's just a 1-6-2-5, right? That's the chord progression. So playing open strings, open chords is great. But if you're a lead player, it's not really, you don't really want to do that. That's fine if you're just the acoustic guitar player and you just want to play some of the open chords. But if you're the second guitar player, or if you're the only one playing guitar, the problem with those chords is that it sounds like folk country type stuff, but it doesn't sound like Western swing. Western swing is swing. It's jazz, basically. Jazz sounds over country music. And open chords are, it doesn't really give you that sound. So what you can do is play something more like this. Play it slow so you can hear it, right? You can alter any of these chords too. So you're playing a 6 instead of a just an open major. You can play it like this too, if you want. And then just adds a little bit more. It's just voiced a little bit more interesting, I think, and adds a little bit more color to the chord structure. And then when you go for the 1 to the dominant, to the 4 minor, and you're going 1 5 1. There's your 7th, or you could do something like that. And that's just especially if you're the second guitar, if you're the second or the main lead guy, you want to do something more like that if you want it to sound like Western swing. And then it goes to a bridge, which is dominant 3, E. Then it goes to a dominant 6. And then it goes to a big 2. What they call it, it's a dominant 2. And then back to the 5. So it's like a 3 6 2 5, right? And the 3 is I mean, that's just standard substitution stuff, right? That's you can substitute it for a minor third, but in this case, it's a dominant third. But instead of playing just a regular E, play an E9. Voice leads into the A9. And then a D9 is right there, right? Play that. That's another version of a 9 chord. To the 5, right? There's your bass notes, right? So that makes it a little bit more interesting to me. So, hey, Richard. Oh, good. I'm glad. Glad you guys like the guitar tips here. So, and thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining in, as usual. And I mean, that's the core of that song, right? That's the 1 6 2 5 little turnaround. 1 dominant 1, 4 minor 4, 1 5 1. Simple song. And then the bridge, minor dominant third, dominant 6, 2 dominant 2 to the 5. And that's really it. It has a little solo in there, which is kind of, I want to say it's doubled with either 2 guitars or a pedals or a lap steel and a fiddle or something else. It's a really cool line. And it's cool when it's played harmonized. Of course, I'm only 1 guitar, so I can't. There are limitations, right? And then it does it again. And, you know, for the bridge, there isn't, I think it takes over on the fiddles or the steel or something like that for the bridge part. That was always one of my favorite Bob Wills tunes because it's got a cool little riff in there. It's a fun tune to play with all these extra little chords and things, and it's somewhere in the sort of jazz realm, but it's not quite jazz, right? You know, so Western swing. So there are always different types of ways to play these chords. The video, the alt chord shapes, you can check that out. That's I go over all of those shapes there, I believe. Even I don't talk about this song, but I do talk about the different all the different chord shapes that can be used as substitutes. They're not chord substitutions, just substituted chord shapes and extensions that you can play. So you don't always have to play a major chord. If a major chord, I want it to sound more interesting than just a triad, then play it as a 6, right? You got to be careful with the dominants. You know, you don't want to just suddenly play a 13 on a 1. You can do that in a solo. It's fine. But when you're playing the actual rhythm, the 1 needs to stay roughly a 1 chord. So the extensions of a 1 would be a 6, which is an add 13. You just don't have the flat 7th in there, right? So then you have the 6, and then you have the major 7. But the major 7 creates a whole different sound. So if you were to play that like that progression, it would sound like this. You'd have that as the 1. Not bad, but I prefer the 6 too, if you don't want it to sound too dreamy, I guess. Right? Let's see. So there's I mean, that's the best way when you start getting up into the higher register, because the 6 chord like this, there's this one, which most people will play, especially like blues. Will play that. But if you want kind of a lower register, then you can play it like this. And you can also go all the way down here and play it here. Really low register, right? So there's always ways to change the voicing to make it sound a little bit more in the mix, I guess you could say. And it might work great if you're playing like this. You know, if you have a full band or something, you play the higher register, the chords are going to pop out, especially if you're the second guitar player. If you've already got another guitar player playing the acoustic chords, the cowboy chords, I like to call them, then you don't need 2 guitars doing the same thing. So you want to, then that's, you know, why have it then at that point? So the lead player should add in a couple, even if they're not playing, you know, if they're not doing a Freddie Green thing all the way through, you know. You can do that. Or you can kind of palm mute everything and just especially when the vocals are going, right? Because it's if you're, you know, chopping wood like that, it could bury the vocals. So you want to be aware of that. Especially if you already have a second rhythm guitar player. If there's only one, it's only you. Depends on whether you're backing somebody up, you know. If you're backing somebody up, usually singers want rhythm. They want to hear the chords, right? So they want to hear that full chord. So be prepared for that. But if you're the singer, then it doesn't. Then you can do whatever you want, right? But even then, even if you're playing the full chord, you don't necessarily have to play all 6 strings like that. You can just play a couple, 3 or 4. I'm not playing, even when I play the D minor 7, I'm not playing all 6. I'm just playing the 4 in the middle there. And because, I mean, chords are either 3 or 4 notes. I mean, sometimes you get like 5 or 6 notes. But generally speaking, you only have 4 fingers anyway. So unless you're barring something, or you have a reason to have all of those chords up there. If the chord gets more complicated and you start getting into, extensions, the first note that can be omitted is the root. After that, then the fifth, and so on and so forth. Because everything that defines the chord as what it is, the root note, is going to be implied by the bass. This applies to playing in a band, of course, not by yourself. If you're playing by yourself, then it's really just your preference of what sounds best. Because there's so many different ways to do these things. But from my perspective, I usually don't play solo gigs very often, so I'm always playing with a band. I'm usually the only guitar player. Occasionally, I'll do gigs with other players, but it's rare. And if that does happen, and the other guitar player, I'll look and see what they're doing, right? And if they're playing, well, let's say we're just doing some rock and roll thing, and they're playing a G down here. Instead of me doing that same thing, I'll either go up here and play an octave, or I'll play chords, right? Depending on the type of song you're playing, right? You don't want to get too crazy with the extensions. If it's a rock and roll tune, it kind of loses the impact of it, especially if it's straight rock. If you're swinging, you can get away with whatever. Then you can even hit the 9 chords and stuff. But I'll play just even a major chord up here or a 6 up here. And just play around with different voicings all the way down the neck while the other player's doing something like that. Whatever they're doing. So the point is you don't want to duplicate what the other guy's playing. Always try to play something a little bit different. The other thing you can do is if I've mentioned it several times before, is comping, which is what pianos do. Basically, they're intermittently playing in between the spaces of the rhythm, so they're not necessarily playing on the downbeats. They're sometimes playing on the upbeat. So right, you can imagine kind of a jazz piano kind of doing something like that. That would, and it's good you can play that with the pick too. Whatever. But I like to pick it with my fingers. That kind of, it makes it sound more like, it's subtle, but it makes it sound more like a piano, right? So that's my little tips on rhythm playing. And jump around, go back and forth between them to make it more interesting for you and for the audience as well. I know that for myself, if I play too many songs in a row where it's the same or whatever, it does get a little bit monotonous. And you don't want to have the same sonic sound all night. I mean, you're limited to it. You're a band. There's not, you're gonna have the same sound all night. So do as much as you can. At least I try to do as much as I can to not make it sound exactly the same throughout the evening. And yeah, and of course there's the finger picking thing too. You can do that as well. I don't know how well you can whatever. Oh. You can kind of go back and forth between comping and finger picking, and that stuff works well for solos too. If you're at a loss for what to do for a solo, you can just play a different chord progression and finger pick it. Just and it changes the sound for a minute. Let's see. Think of other rhythm things to go over. Uh, a lot of people tend to play when they play rhythm. Again, this is for electric though, not acoustic. Usually with acoustic, you're going to be playing open chords, or even if you're playing bar chords, you're just going to be you're not going to be palm muting too much unless you have a reason to, right? But usually when the vocals come in, that's when you want to get the palm muting going, right? And really accentuate the rhythm of what the drums are doing and what the bass is doing or whatever. Because to just play open, it'll bury the vocals, and then you can't really hear what you're singing. And then everybody else will have to play louder to play against that, and then you end up turning up, or everything just gets incredibly loud. So you can control dynamics with your, you know, with your rhythm hand, as opposed to having a boost pedal or a volume pedal or whatever, or having to constantly adjust the volume here. And Gretches, and it depends on the guitar that you have. Gretches and Fenders have volume knobs. Gibsons don't. They do have volume knobs, but it's two of them down here with the tone knobs, which is kind of silly to me that there's no master volume for a Gibson. I've never really used tone knobs all that much, other than on a Tele. Like one is fine, that works with both pickups. I think that's more than enough. And I've used it for an effect, or you can turn the tone all the way off and it gives you kind of more of a jazz sound, which you can't really get with something like this. But um, I don't really use it all that much. You can kind of approximate it if you just simply turn the volume down a little bit here on the Gretsch, right? It's still, I mean, I'm plugged into a amp mod, so it's hard to really get the effect, but it's just a little less output, and it softens it up a little bit. Another thing you can do, this is a little trickier, but if you get used to tucking the pickup, you can play the chords with your thumb. And that, if makes it sound a little jazzier, and that can soften the whole sound without having to, you know, turn the volume down or all this other nonsense. So I like to focus more on my playing and what I'm doing in the moment, as I'm trying to be a scientist down here. I gotta Never found much use for a tone knob unless you have a ridiculously cutting tone and you just step back into the mix. Yeah, basically. Yeah, I've never really had much use for it. It's just a lot of extra extra nonsense. So I trying to I even I had mine disconnected from, well, these aren't tone knobs anyway, from the on the 6120. They're just volume knobs, which is even more useless. I mean, I guess you can, if you have both of them together, you could reduce the volume of one pickup, and then it gives you a softer tone at one level or whatever. And then the Gretches have the mud switches. This one doesn't have it. I had that one disconnected, um, just because either I would accidentally hit it, or and it's just kind of useless. it it's not a pleasant jazz tone. It just sounds, you know, doesn't sound great at all. I mean, if you really want a jazz tone, get a jazz box or something like that, with the flat wounds on it. Um, and the jazz amps that really don't have a lot of bite and, you know, uh, tube overdrive saturation. I forget the name of it. One of the higher end amps for jazz are great. They sound great. Super expensive, but Hendricken or something like that. Something like that. Maybe that's the gin. I'm not. uh, I can't remember. I got one of those little Fender Mustang amps. You can get there like 150, I think, real cheap, and you have there's so many different tones and settings on them for a small gig, like a combo gig or a duo or single gig. That thing's great. That's all you need. You don't need to be super loud, and if you and it there's no output on it, but you can put a mic up if you need to be louder. So yeah, yeah, you could use the pickup as a kill switch. Yeah, that's true. Um, with yeah, with two volume knobs, yeah, yeah, that would work. I've never utilized it like that, but yeah, you definitely suppose you could do that. Um, if I need the guitar volume to be off, I usually will just I would usually click the tuner if I had one on the floor, and since I don't anymore, I usually just turn the volume knob down. Um, if I don't need to, if I don't need the guitar on. And as far as changing guitars goes, or plugging them in, so you get that buzz right when you plug it in the first. I use these. I don't have it here, but it's one of those cables that have the kill switch built into the cable, and you plug it. And when you plug it in and take it out, you don't hear any crackling or anything. But these are pretty basic guitars, but it's really all you need. Um, I go back and forth between the pickup so often that I'll play a rock and roll riff here and then flip and do something like that. I go to chords like this. Um, yeah, I've got it all in my head, kind of like, oh, this song at this part of the song for the solo, I'll go to the bridge pickup, or that I'll go to the um the neck pickup. If I want to play, when I'm playing blues stuff, I'll usually play rhythm pickup, and then straight rock and roll, I'll usually play the bridge pickup. So it all depends on the song too. And I don't really use too much of it. I don't really use a pedal board anymore. So it's just that space echo. So it's just reverb, delay, and that's it. It has a chorus built into it. I've used it once, but I don't know. The music that I play doesn't really have a use for it. Um, I do have a tremolo pedal that I'll put on the side. That's nice. It's just one of those Boss. I think it's TU6, but I could be wrong. Um, yeah, that's all. That's all I need anyway. I've never had a use for flange or wah. I had a wah pedal. It's a fun toy, but nothing I really care about. Distortion pedals or tube screamers like the Ibanez tube screamer or Blues Driver. Again, don't really need it. Um, the Bassman cranks, once you get it beyond 5, it's loud, but I put a baffle in front of it or use an attenuator or something, and I can get that distortion sound that I'm looking for this music anyway. I understand if you want to, have a more drive to it, then those pedals can be helpful. And what else is there? I mean, there's sustainers and that sort of thing. I've always been told that the sustain pedals suck your tone, so and but the country chicken picking guys will use the sustainers. So I can see why, because they're just lightly playing between their pick and middle fingers. So having that even compressor sustainer can be quite helpful. I've never played with one personally, but I've tried it in the store or whatever. But not the same. Trying that. That's the problem with trying things in the store for me. It's that nothing sounds quite like what I'm used to live. I can't really get a real sense of it. And you might think it's good, and you get it, and you play it live, and you're like, eh. I've gone through enough enough stuff that I'm fairly happy with what I've got. So I don't have any other complaints other than making sure I don't have any complaints. If somebody else has a complaint about being too loud or something, I haven't gotten any complaints though recently, so that's good. Yep, simple setup always sounds the best. I agree. And it's just less things that go wrong, right? I mean, if you've seen people with these giant pedal boards and something's not working, and it's like, okay, you got to go through each one, which cable's causing the problem. And, for me up here, or, well, anywhere on the coast, um, a lot of gigs, if you want to make any money, are going to be on by the water. And that is a lot of salt in the air and and if you're by a beach, there's sand and everything. And not good for the gear at all. So, especially if I have to play on a beach or something, it'll get in the F holes and you got to take a shop vac and get it all out of there and clean everything up. It corrodes all the contacts. You got to use the contact cleaner and keep it up. I've seen people take earplugs sometimes and like stick the earplugs in the jacks of the amp and the guitars if they're not going to play it for a while. I don't know how safe that is, but I just clean them, use contact cleaner, clean them out, and but that's where I've usually seen issues with pedal boards is somebody will be fiddling with somewhere in the chain. You never know where it is, and you have to go one at a time. And um, Gretsch also have bodies that the Gretsch hollow bodies also have a tone that's conducive. So yeah, conducive to not needing much in the original in the signal chain. Yep, I agree. That's why I also don't need a boost either. For whatever reason, I guess it is the Gretsch. I think it's the combination of the Gretsch and the basement. So I don't really have to tune my turn the guitar down for rhythm playing. Like I was saying earlier, I just control it with dynamics, and the Gretsch tone just fills out the space and fills out just you know the whole boosts the volume too over the drums. Every time I do a sound check, I'll always make sure that wherever the drummer is playing roughly with the cymbals, that the lead is going to cut just a little bit above that. And if I'm mixing the sound and controlling my volume, but I've been playing with this amplifier for so long that I know that if I go between 4 and 5, somewhere in there, that's fine, no matter what. And occasionally it'll be too loud. But what you can do is just if you have a separate output control like on these things, you can either adjust your input signal on the Space Echo so it's not as loud, or adjust the output. The output doesn't have a dial, but it has a decibel switch, so you can cut it down a little bit if you need to be quieter. Of course, if you have an attenuator, then you don't have to worry about it. And if you have to play a quiet gig and you still want to play with electric, definitely recommend one of those things. I don't know who made. I don't think THD Hot Plate. I don't think they make those anymore, but somebody else is making them. I forget the name. Somebody told me the name of it, but it's supposedly better than the Hot Plate. But I don't know. Oh, Lizard Lounge Radio. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining in on the live stream. First gig tomorrow with a newly Bigsby equipped 335 into twin reverb. Nice. Only using a delay pedal and adjusting picking dynamics for soloing. No boost pedal. Here's hoping my hands don't cramp up. Oh, I'm sure you'll be fine. Well, enjoy it. Have fun. That sounds cool. Yeah, the twin reverb, man, those are great. A buddy of mine's got one, but I've never. I don't know if I think I played through one once. It was very very loud. Hard for me to control. at least at the time. Wasn't really used to, I didn't have all the setup that I had back then. It was years ago. But yeah, those twins are awesome. They sound good with the 335s as well as Gretches and um I mean, yeah. If you don't know what amp to get, just get a twin. Get a twin, and you'll be happy with it. I mean, they are loud, but you may have to separate them. Get a attenuator where you have to you can separate the amp line to the speaker and put a bypass in there, and you can use a proper attenuator. They have the ones that go as a separate master control. It's not the same as a power soaker though. So you're just creating a separate volume knob. It sort of works kind of, but it's not the same as an actual attenuator that's going to really soak up the power, still give you that touch sensitivity and be quiet. And there's the old-fashioned way of just putting a baffle in front of your amplifier, which is what I've been doing lately because I don't want to, that's just one less, I'd rather drag a baffle than have all these extra cables to connect and one more thing in the chain that could go wrong, you know? Fender Deluxes are great too. Yes, they have very good reverb, tasty reverb, absolutely. A Fender, you can't really go wrong with a Fender amplifier if you don't really know, you know, what else to get. I'd say like I played those orange amplifiers. They're okay. They have more of a British rock sound to them. Um, like the Vox amps. They're they got that British sound. I had a Vox AC30 for a while, and it sounded too mid-rangey to me, so I just it didn't work for the Rockabilly band. I tried it a couple of times at live shows, and it just wasn't giving me the saturation and that I really wanted. So I ended up selling it. And I always, yeah, it's clean. I always think I need a gain pedal. Yeah, you don't really need one. Um, if you if you want to, I mean, you can always just turn the guitar. A solo's coming up. You can adjust the amplifier or get the guitar really loud. Of course, you're playing a Gibson, right? So you'd have to adjust the volume knobs individually. But if you're on one pickup, you can sort of like who were you saying? Tomb Toombs was saying about using one as a kill switch. You could sort of adjust the volume down on your rhythm pickup and then keep the bridge pickup really loud uh, as an alternative, I guess. I've never really done that. I'm just kind of thinking about it. But yeah, with these guys, it's just I'll sometimes do this. I'll bring the volume down on a couple of tunes. There's a couple of tunes that we play that don't really have a lot of drums going on. It's brushes, and the bass isn't slapping, so it's really low. We do this version of Angel Eyes. So when I'm playing um, the rhythm, sometimes I will just a little bit, kind of a quarter turn down, not even, so I can play the chords like that. Even if it's all the way up, if I use the thumb. Especially for the bridge. That's usually what I'll do on the verses. All these little jazz chords, but when I go to the bridge part, it'll. Or melody there. Yeah, so that's depends on the dynamic of the tune. Something real quiet like that with brushes. I will occasionally turn the volume down a little bit. And then of course there's always the fun little volume swells and things. I don't know how that's coming through. A lot of that is also when you're doing the volume swells too. It's in the pot itself. Every pot has a slightly different tension. So sometimes you've played some guitars where they're really loose and they just like spin for days, and other ones it's like a struggle to get it to go up. So it just depends on getting the right pot in there. And it's also the especially with tone pots, but volume ones too, I guess. It's where the sometimes it's like nice gradient, gradual from quiet to loud, or you know, no tone all the way to full tone. But sometimes, a lot of the times, you'll get a pot that's just like quiet, 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 and then boom, it's super loud right at the end, or no tone, no tone until the very, very end of when you're spinning it up. So it's kind of, you can't get that gradual swell. This one's not bad. This is not bad. It's not as loose as this one, and this one's, for whatever reason, really, really stiff. So I don't know. You used to be able to just go to Radio Shack and go get, you know, potentiometers and just fool around with them and see which one you like. And now I'd have to, I don't know, I don't know anywhere to go to get electronics other than buying them online. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Do I play any Shadows numbers? Yes, we do actually. I can't think of it. Um, what is that? What? I can never remember who some of the surf rock stuff. I can never remember who does. I don't. The Shadows aren't really a surf rock band per se. Um, oh man, what is that Shadows tune? I know we got a couple we're working on. Oh, we play. Oh, that's right. We do Apache. Probably everybody plays that one. Right. Whoops. I like that end part there. Right. I change it up a little bit, but where it goes to the high end. That's after the bridge or whatever. You could tremolo it too. Whatever you want to do. And the second time it goes. Yeah, that's a fun. Always opt for audio taper. Okay, good to know. Because I've been having some issues with my. I clean it, every once in a while, and it's fine for a little while, and then temperature changes, whatever, and then I get towards the very end. This was cutting out on me a couple of gigs ago, and I cleaned it up, and it was fine. But um, eventually, I'll probably replace it. I've had to do that with the orange one. Everything's replaced on that thing. Nothing other than the pickups. Yeah, the frets are different. The tuners and the pickups are the same. And the Bigsby is original. But the pots, the pickup selector switch, the frets, the nut, uh, the jack, everything's been replaced by um, something else. The Switchcraft is a great, as far as I know, the best brand to go with for electronics. But I don't know what they put in these guitars since Fender's taken over distribution. But back then, when they were making these, they wouldn't put Switchcraft uh, parts in the guitars, and of course they all died over a relatively short period of time. I've had this guitar since 2018, and I haven't had anything replaced. I've probably played it more than I was playing that one when I got it, and I haven't had anything, knock on wood, go that I've had to have replaced, or the Phoenix, which were all post Fender distribution quality control. And but with that Gretsch, within that same period of time, I've had to replace everything. So um, definitely they've gotten so much better over the years. So gotta love a bit of Hank and his red Strat. Yeah, definitely. Got a 335 through a Fender DeVille with some echo, amps, reverb. Nice, nice. Sounds incredible. It can get very loud too. Nice. Oh yeah, the Fender DeVilles are great. I have a Hot Rod DeVille or Deluxe or whatever it's called. That thing's super loud too. It's my practice amp for the most part. I don't really use it as a live thing. I have, and it can sound good. And it does have a nice little distortion channel on it. So if I want to record distortion, I still prefer to record amplifiers, real amplifiers, right? I'm not going to use a plug-in for a record or recording or the videos even, except the video that just got uploaded. I think it's live now. Where I go over the 49 Mercury Blues. That one is just the plug-in, just what I'm playing here right now, which isn't bad. I can't hear it right now because I sort of hear it. ES 125. Isn't that the? There's a couple. You're talking about the. There was. Hmm. I guess there's the ones with the cutaway or the old ones without. I'm just looking at them right now. The old ones with the cutaway or sorry, the newer ones with the cutaway or the old ones with like a P90 style pickup. I mean, either is great. I mean, but those things are, yeah, great sound. What's your preference for Gretsch bridges? True arc aluminum? I don't know. I don't really have a preference. Um, I two pneumatics, I guess, as far as style goes. Um, I don't know what the material is. maybe it's the true arc aluminum. It's whatever. I've everything's still original except for the this one, the orange one again. The that's got a I don't know what it is. I think I think it's just I gotta had it done at Guitar Center. I took it in because the bridge was bending inward, and so it was either you know heat it up or try to bend it back, which I didn't want to bother. For the price, I was just like, I think they just put whatever Gibson uses, Tune-o-matic, and put it on there. Yeah, I'm not sure. Who knows? I don't even know what Gretsch has on that. They don't even make these anymore, so I have no idea what Gretsch used at the time. But um, oh, ABR ones will do that. Okay, well, maybe that's what this is. It's a little different. I don't know if there's a way to tell as far as um, uh, no, no, they're the same now. They're the same. Yeah, they're all the same. They're probably I haven't had any problems with the other one, but so yeah, the older one with the P90s, yeah, it doesn't have the cutaway. 57 Harmony. Those are nice guitars. Nice. What kind of singing mic do I use? Um, oh, it's actually right over here. Let me grab it. I use a Shure Super 55. One of these guys. And I know it's not the best. I have a Beta 87A, which is a really nice microphone. It's an older one, and it's a little wonky. It's got some the set screw is missing, and I have to because so the whole jack will pull out when I go to unplug it. I have to be somewhat careful. So it's kind of a backup microphone for me. But they have the regular 55s and then the Super 55 dynamic supercar droid, whatever. So these things are great. I've loved them. If you ever get anything, I mean, a bunch of different companies make mics like this to it's Rockabilly, right? So it's for the look as well. But if you ever do decide to get one of those things, definitely get the clip that goes here because otherwise you'll have to screw and unscrew the mic on the stand all the time and the threads in here will just strip and then you won't be able to do anything about it. And this one's just a quick disconnect, so you just pull the thing down and clip it right on and you're good to go. Um, it's a good hammer too. Yeah, well, um, yeah, if anybody's gets too close to the stage, right? Uh, yeah, I've been happy with it. I did have an older one, not the regular 55 for a while, but they have a switch, an on and off switch on them, so they break sometimes after a while. So I these don't have the switch, which is nice. I mean, most mics don't, so it's kind of silly. Um, what brand is the clip? Gator, I think. I think I don't remember. It doesn't say because on here, but yeah, it's let me see. I got it from Sweetwater, as I get most of my stuff from there. Um, I think it's called Quick Release Mic. Hmm. I'm not seeing it anymore. But you know, any one of those brands will do. It's not coming up. Weird. Nope. Anyway, found it. Quick release gator. There you go. Okay. Yeah. They have a couple different ones, but that's the one that I've found to be the best and durable. Yeah. I bought a new clip. I don't remember why. I think my mic stand. That's what it was. My mic stand broke, but and I lost it or I lost the mic stand or whatever, and I lost the clip, the clip that goes on the microphone. I still had the one on the mic, so I had to buy a new clip and a new mic stand. But the uh, the clip outlasted the mic stand, and I definitely for mic stands I definitely recommend the K and M. I think it's called. Um, they're relatively they're a little more expensive than the on stage ones or whatever, but they have there's the DNR. I think it's called DNR or DR mic stand. I don't. They're supposed to be high end mic stands. Don't get those. They're terrible. They'll break the little um, lock like thumb screw. It's not really a thumb. If they had put a thumb screw in there, like just normal thumb screw, that would have been fine. But they don't. They put these other that has this plastic knob or cover on the top, and the first thing that happens is that will either pop off or it'll just strip, and then you can't adjust it, and you have to have some sort, like vice grips or something to adjust it. So just get the K&M. It's much better, and I think they're cheap. I don't know if they're any cheaper, but I think they're about the same. If I had to play, if you had to play only play one guitar, which would you choose? This one. Which is what I end up doing half the time anyway. um, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would the orange one if it after another refret and maybe some new pickups. Like if I could get the newer the Setzer smoke version of that. Um, there is a version that they don't make, but it did exist for a while. Was essentially this, but it had like a Gibson. It had two volume knobs and two tone knobs, the mud switch and the pickup selector and a volume knob. That would be ideal. Then I have all of the options. Um, but they don't really make those. Although you could do it yourself, you could drill into it and put put new pots. But I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't want to do that. So, what do you say? Tripod or circle? Oh, tripod. Sorry. Yeah, I I don't like the circle bass. Some people do. They fall over way too easy to me. Um, so I and try and definitely what do they call it? Boom. The extended boom version of it too. So you can either whether you put it directly here and then you have it come out further because you want to have a boom for sure because otherwise the guitar kind of have a tendency to like hit the uh the mic stand itself. So it's and I've played sometimes when I get too close to the microphone and I'm playing and all of a sudden it's like what you get this and it's like what happened and it's the guitar hit the mic stand. So I always want to have enough space between the guitar, a good foot between the guitar and that. And if you're playing, you sometimes push the guitar into the audience a little bit or you're moving around and, it's just one less thing to hit. And if you're playing bass, if you play upright, I don't know how many upright players are check out the channel, but I've done a couple little shorts with the upright, but I'm gonna do a couple of videos here. I've been meaning to do that on like upright slap lessons because I also do that as well. With that, you take the boom and you put it at an angle. So like the stand is over here to your you know, if you're right-handed, put it over to your right. I guess you could put it over to your left too. It doesn't really matter, but I usually put it over to the right, and then have the boom up and over, and the mic's over here, kind of like this, like a setup, like the way this is set up, so I can slap and sing and spin the bass, and the microphone doesn't get in the way. And this way, you don't have to like lean over into the microphone to try to sing and keep your bass out of the way or whatever. It's kind of, and I've seen players do that so many times where they have to lean in and move their bass over to the side, or they put the mic over here and play this way, which is really makes no sense. And or the other way, you can just have the mic set up and you can just relax and just play. I think of that's really kind of, it's either bass guitar, keyboards, or whatever, where you're playing an instrument that you can play and sing. Or drums, I guess. All right. Well, say about an hour and a half. That's about usually where I like to cut it. I am gonna be hard at work on some new videos, and I got one that just dropped. It should be out by now. It was processing when I started the live stream, so it should be there. And it's just a quick play lesson. I'm gonna try to do a couple of these quick play lessons as I do the live stream, and come up with some different things to play. And I want to see what people think of this one, because it's different production quality. It's what you're seeing now, basically, and essentially what you're hearing now, the quality of the sound, and with a few little, I tag a little intro and an outro. Oh, thank you. Lizard Lounge Radio. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you all for joining in on the live stream today. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that kind of thing. I can always do more videos like that. I can go in depth and do a separate video. Yeah, we got a bunch of new content coming real soon. Just recording everything all at once, and that way I can edit it all together. All right, until next time, have a good one. I'll see you guys hopefully next week. Take care.